Hey, really excited on Ralphie tonight to welcome into our studio Ms. Melanie Martinez. Her album Crybaby is out now, and the single we're going to have to talk about in a little bit is Pity Party. You may remember Melanie, of course, from The Voice, but she's a few ages separated from that now. You were back on season 3 of The Voice, for those. We're trying to jog people's memories here. But, I mean, this album's been out for a year, so obviously your post-Voice career has gone on for quite some time. I guess, first of all, how's your voice, by the way?
It's good. It's definitely good now.
What happened?
It's been kind of on and off. Just like I just got off a tour, and that was like really insane. I kept losing my voice like every other week, so it was kind of difficult. But like it's really just from singing every night, and also I love writing music like every second I can. So on tour, I was writing every night after performing. So just like singing, really put out my voice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now that you've gone through tour, I know you have another big tour coming up as well. But now that you've gone through that once, are you adjusting your routine and your schedule so that doesn't happen?
Yeah,
okay,
sure.
you are. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm good.
What are you doing?
Well, I've just been saving my throat, really. I just I'm like separating writing and touring. I think that's really what did it, was kind of just singing every night, like double the amount, so when I go to Europe, I'm not gonna write as much during like show days and stuff, but I'll definitely write at the end of my trip. And
certainly you'll be back in the States as well for a headlining tour also. Do you find it harder to write on the road?
It is definitely harder to write on the road, for sure, just because inspiration, I don't know, it's weird. I love being home in LA. I feel more inspired to create, and for some reason being on the road, I think just going through the daily routine of like being at a venue and then like meet and greet, sound check, doing the show, it's like it feels sometimes like it becomes like this like routine that I like can't shake, and like it doesn't feel fresh anymore. So like writing doesn't really happen that I don't know, it's weird. I don't really feel that inspired on the road, but,
I don't think it's weird at all. I hear that from a lot of artists, and that's why I asked. Every now and then you'll get an artist that says it doesn't really matter, but for the most part I hear from artists that it's much difficult, because again, it's like it's the inspiration thing, it's the focus as well. No question. You answered one of my other questions, because I was going to ask if you were still based in New York City, or because I know you're from Long Island or LA, but now you moved out to LA. Did you move out to the West Coast pre or post Voice?
After. It
was
way after. It was just very recently I moved to Los Angeles,
and you're already calling LA home, huh?
Yeah,
we've already lost you.
I love New York, and I will always love New York. It's just really, it's hard. New York is one of the most stressful cities, just with the amount of even, the amount of people on the street, and like walking through and feeling like the city's kind of just like strangling you sometimes. Like I'm from here, so like that's at least my feel on New York. But like moving to LA, I don't know, the weather, like I have also just friends over there and stuff, so it's feels better. I don't know.
Fair enough. Hey, to each their own. Yeah. Welcome home, though.
Thanks.
Nonetheless, we have Melanie Martinez here on Ralphie tonight. All right, so the album Crybaby. One of the things after listening to the album, and I love how different it was, and I love your voice as well. What do you want people to take from this album when they listen to it? Whether it's something for them or something about you?
Honestly, like, this album, just writing the album, has helped me kind of overcome my insecurities and kind of helped me feel a little bit more confident and comfortable with the fact that I am overly emotional. And there are a lot of people that I have met, with touring, and a lot of, like kids, especially like teenagers and stuff that I've met that have told me that they've, connected with the music because they're like super emotional and just like me, you know what I mean? So it's like really interesting, like meeting people and hearing that. And I think that that's really ultimately like the goal, is to like help people, feel confident in themselves and like feel comfortable with being themselves, even if they are super emotional. And even if people think that being emotional is a weakness, it can be a strength, and it can be something to be proud of. And yeah.
The one point that I got from this album, or it seemed like a common theme, was there's what you see on the surface, and then there's what's actually happening behind the surface. And after especially hearing you say that, it sounds like this album was an outlet for you to kind of peel back a few layers and say, this is what's really going on.
Totally. I mean, I love being honest, especially, you know, when writing music. Even if I haven't experienced something, I love writing about real issues and things that people are dealing with, because, you know, it's not talked about a lot in music. And, like, there are people who are dealing with things that, like, they could, you know, music can be therapy to them and help them, and it has for me. So ultimately what I'm doing is just expressing my emotions through music and hoping that it can help other people as well.
Melanie Martinez here on Ralphie tonight. We're talking about the album Crybaby. Let's talk about the single that is at radio right now. It's called Pity Party. You do this a couple times throughout the album with samples and interpolations from older songs. Certainly, It's My Party. Leslie Gore is the sample, the interpolation on Pity Party. Something I found interesting about the timeline, the album with this song is released in June of 2015. Leslie had passed away in February earlier that year. I don't know what the clearance process was like. Certainly you could speak to that.
It was way earlier. I wrote Pity Party earlier, actually prior to her passing away.
That's what okay.
Yeah, so it was really, like, you know, it was heartbreaking. Like, I had, you know, like written a song and sampled, you know, an incredible artist who, you know, that song is so incredible too, and it like
who's
really,
also from New York City. Who's
awesome. I had no idea. That's
born in Brooklyn, raised in Jersey.
That's very cool. Very cool.
So did she get a chance to hear it at all?
I have no idea. Definitely not. I mean, it would if it was released after. I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to. That's interesting. So you didn't have to submit a copy of your song to get the clearance for it.
Not to her. It's like publishing. Yeah,
right.
It's like the publishing company, and yeah.
Isn't it so interesting how this stuff works?
Yeah.
Isn't it? I mean, that's certainly one of the things that I'm sure you couldn't. One of the many things I'm sure you couldn't have imagined as you embarked on this journey.
Absolutely.
Anything else? What else has been like the most surprising, like the most eye-opening thing as you've gone through this whole thing on The Voice and then released this album and now toured behind the album?
Well, I think if we're talking about The Voice, I think the difference between being on a reality television show and actually being in. Like actually like having a career like making music, it's so different, very different things, like being on The Voice is extremely different from what I'm doing now, it's like it's a different world really. Like I think that's the biggest thing that I've kind of realized over the years is like when I was 16 on The Voice, that was like the only thing that was like consuming my brain. And like when you're put in shows like that, you are like, you're focused on like, like every week, is a new song to focus on, a new cover or whatever. And like in reality, like looking back at that, it wasn't very productive. I'm a songwriter, you know what I mean? So I just like, it's just interesting looking back and realizing the difference between a singing show and what I'm doing now. So
are you happy with what you're doing now?
100% could not be happier.
That's great. It's awesome. I mean, especially again, it's a tough go at it, and I can somewhat relate to this on a much lesser degree. Being in radio, when you lose your voice, that's the worst. And for you having to deal with that throughout an entire tour, I mean, you get a lot of props for pushing through. Because I know you mentioned performing twice. You also like to talk a little bit during your sets as well. And
I don't. It's interesting. I don't really talk that much at all during shows. Like I'm very shy, very quiet. When I do talk, it's like introducing a song that's like next. Like I'm not a big talker at shows. I'm actually super shy. Yeah.
So you probably get butterflies when you go on stage.
I get nervous I get nervous with anything.
Don't tell me you're nervous now. Don't tell me you're nervous now.
I'm just
Don't do that.
I'm just a shy person. It takes a little bit to like, open up. So because now what I'm curious about is at what point during your live set, if at any point, do you open up and finally feel like, okay, I'm cool, I'm good? After like probably like the ending of the first song. Ending of the first song is when I'm like, okay, like you're fine, like chill out. It's like, that's awesome. Yeah. That's cool. It's definitely cool to hear that from an artist. All right, so obviously going back on tour, you're going to Europe, you come back to the States this summer. How far is your schedule planned out? Is it just that, or are you already starting to... There's I have a few shows after Europe, and then after that I'm really just focusing on making the rest of the music videos for the album. So, because that's another thing that's like the main focus right now is finishing the music videos, because I'm doing a video for every song on the album, and then after that, I am currently writing the next album, but I'm gonna really start focusing after making the music videos for Crybaby. I'm gonna really start focusing on the second album. So,
all right, before we wrap, I'm glad you brought up the music videos, because I know for Pity Party you conceived the video and directed it your words, of course, as far as the credits on the video itself. Are you doing that for every single video?
Okay, so like, I mean, I'm always writing music video treatments, like just on the road, you know, whenever I can really, just like have time to sit at my laptop and think. That's really cool, by the way. Sorry.
Melanie just pointed to a pink toilet seat that is in the studio, and I'll explain to her what that is as soon as she's done giving us an answer.
Yeah.
So you write music.
Sorry, that distracted me. So I was like, there's a toilet seat in here, and it's pink.
We usually don't have the room set configured like this for interviews, because usually we do stuff on camera and we have to do all the interviews back there. So I didn't even think to move that out of the way. I'll explain that in a second. Yeah, that's kind of funny.
That is funny.
So you write music video treatments a lot.
Yes. So with the music videos, I mean, it will start with, you know, well, usually when I'm writing a song, I can already kind of see a video in my head, or if I don't have a strong visual in my head, I won't finish the song because I just like don't feel connected to it. And visual is very important for me, just because I feel like it helps tell the story, and that's like my main focus is getting the story across. So when I write a music video treatment, I write the video treatment, you know, I'm thinking of literally, it's like a shot list, you know, and like all the locations, everything, like down to like what I'm wearing. Like I'll like draw up like sketches to send to my friend Stella, who is like a designer and like creates really awesome clothes. And so she'll like do custom stuff for me that I'll just like draw up, and, you know, for like the videos specifically. And I direct, and I'm also sitting with the editor, picking out shot by shot exactly what I want it to look like down to every detail. So yeah. It's
sounds time consuming, yet at the same time
fun.
Fun. I'm sure it's a lot of fun, no question, especially if you're passionate about it, which obviously you are.
Yeah.
But you also, in a sense, I'm sure, save some time for the editor as well, because he doesn't have to sit there and guess what you want. You're right there in his ear.
Absolutely. It's incredible, you know. It really is. It's so much easier. It was really hard, like first starting out, like with Dollhouse, Carousel, you know, like I worked with, I had still written like the storyboard for the music videos for Dollhouse and Carousel, but I, you know, directing, like me, like actually like figuring out how to direct, you know, was something that I had to like kind of grow into. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I worked with other directors, and even that was like really hard for me, just because it was hard to like explain exactly how I wanted it to be, you know. So that's why I really started getting into directing, because I felt like it's easier to just do it, you know, myself if I really want it to be exactly how I want it to be.
I love that. No, good for you. Good for you for having a vision and sticking to that. I can certainly appreciate that. She's Melanie Martinez. She's on tour later this summer. And again, her album Crybaby's out now. The pink toilet seat, Todd and Jade in the Morning. The woman that sits in your seat, Annie, she's about my age, I think maybe a year or two younger than me, and she has very long hair, to the point where every Friday they play a game called Guess What's in Annie's Bun. She's got, her hair is so long that they were able to fit that toilet seat in her hair.
No way.
I'll show you the photo when we wrap. Yeah, it was crazy. I think today they put a skateboard in her hair, I want to say.
Wait, okay, yeah. I need to see how long her hair
you gotta see these photos. Yeah, you'll be able to check them out. And it's cool. They do like clues on the air and all that fun stuff as well. So that's why the toilet seat is here. Melanie, I could talk with you for another 15 minutes for crying out loud. I don't think they're going to let me though. I know, right? Thank you so much for stopping by.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.